Good evening. I am Rufus Bill, and I would like to welcome you to Talking To. I am the host of the program today, and it's going to be 60 minutes or maybe a little more of great content, great conversation, and you can get along and join in on the dialogue by just going to our comment section. Or perhaps you may even want to join us live, and we can send you a link, and you can be right here on Talking To with yours truly, Rufus Bill, Joanne Tosin Fuller, and Justin Hearn. The time is 7:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is August 25th, 2024. Can you believe it's August? Like the end of August? Where has the time gone? Do you know where the time is gone? It definitely, the summer has come and almost over. With September 20th, I believe, is the first day of fall. Anyway, let's not even rush it. Please, let's not rush it. Let's just enjoy and be in the moment. I'd like to say a very special hello to, congratulations to Miss Christian, who had a baby shower today. Beautiful, beautiful baby shower. I think I've only gone to one in my life, and that was Carmen Battles. But I went to this one. I'm glad I did. Great people, great conversation, and the food was unbelievable. So if you can go to my Facebook page and see the pictures that are posted there, and this is her first, and so she's very excited. We all are excited. We all are excited about the arrival of the little Bambino, the baby girl. How was your day today? Did you do something different, something exciting? Or did you do the same old, same old? Now, the same old is it's all right too, because I am guilty of doing just that. But when we have these days, especially these summer days, and on the weekend, and I know you work hard during the week and maybe some even on the weekend, but you need to take this time to really, really treat yourself. And it doesn't have to be shopping or an item or dinner, but treat yourself to nature. Yeah, to nature. Very soon you won't be able to walk, you won't want to walk in the frigid temperatures. But take a walk. Maybe take a walk in your neighborhood. Walk down the block or walk down 2 blocks and walk back up. Treat yourself. Go to the water. Belle Isle is beautiful. And by it being a state park now, most, if not all of the riffraff is no longer there. So that's an option for you, going to Belle Isle, sitting at the water. Maybe you could get a great book. I'm getting ready to start another book by Dawn Stevens, and it's Get Out of God's Way. Is it right here? Dawn is a one of the fishermen elects at the Home of Love, and she wrote a book, Getting Out of God's Way, a journey of surrender and obedience, 30-day devotional. Dawn E. Stevens. You can call the Home of Love to request this book. But, treat yourself to reading a book, reading a chapter. Maybe you have an interest to read the Bible. Whatever it is, treat yourself to something simple that can bring a lot of joy and pleasure to you. So I'll get off my soapbox of treating yourself good. Listen, Joanne Tosin Fuller is not here today, and she's taking a much deserved day to relax, and we just say hello, Joanne. And then Justin is keeping the city secure and safe. We appreciate him for doing just that. So this is with now our special guest today is John Arnold. Many of you may be familiar with John from his excuse me, as a radio personality. And here in the city of Detroit, he had an afternoon show that was unbelievable. Everybody was listening and tuning in to see what John Arnold is gonna talk about. But he has a very a lengthy career in communications. He's one of the, I would venture to say, one of the pioneers in the Detroit metropolitan area. So he's not a stranger to communications. He is also a professor, and I'm not going to go into all of what he is, but he's going to join us, and we're going to recap the Democratic National Convention later on in the show. But for right now, I want to talk to you about preparing to go back to school. If you're going to be a student, you're in college, or if you have a child that's getting ready to go back to school, or maybe you are a grandparent getting ready to send your children to school, there's something that you need to be aware of as you enter this school year. And we already know about the safety precautions that you must take and the dedication that goes along with school. But I want to challenge you, parent. I want to challenge you, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, mother, father, to step your game up just a little more this school year. If you did 25%, go up to 50. If you did 50%, and what I'm talking about percentage-wise is working with your children after school and teaching them and helping them. If you were doing 75%, bring it on up to 100. If you were doing 100, don't let it stop there. The reason why I'm saying this to you is because in the classroom that I have observed and noticed, that teachers can do all they can do with the limited time that they have with the students during the day. And you really need to assist the teacher. To assist the teacher in doing what the teacher does. Teach, assist, show support. Many of you who are parenting have jobs. You go to your job, you're working hard, you're trying to make ends meet, you're trying to meet your commitments and requirements as an adult. And when usually you get home, the last thing on your mind, especially after you cook dinner, if you are a cook in the house, is helping your child with homework and other assignments that they may have due. It is imperative that you include that time in your schedule. It is. You would not believe how many parents leave the learning after school up to the child. Now, if your child is 5th, 6th, 7th grade, they should be able to do it on their own, but I would suggest that you look it over. But I'm talking about those first graders, those kindergarteners, first grade, second grade, third grade. These are very important years in the life of a student, of a young student, elementary. They're learning to read. They're learning to write. They're learning their sight words. They're learning vowels, alphabets, mathematics, equations, their addition, minus, and subtraction. All of this is new to them. And it can be very, very overwhelming for a child. Look, can you imagine just looking at a page full of mathematical equations at 7 years old. And as an adult and as an instructor, you think, well, you know, 1 plus 1, you can't figure out that that's 2, or 2 plus 2. They're in the learning stages. These are things that you need to do once your child comes home. Take take for an example, you know how when we learn our multiplication tables, um, 1 times 1, 1, 1 times 2, 2, 2 times 2, 4, 2 times 3, 6, 2 times 4 is 8. How we, you know, we're able to learn those and commit them to memory. But this is the same steps you need to do with your students, with your children. That's learning addition and subtraction. Education has changed so much since you've been in school. The learning process has changed, where they would just teach 1 plus 1 is 2, or 8 plus 2 is 10, 6 plus 4 is 10, 9 plus 1 is 10. They kind of have moved from that particular style of learning, or that type of teaching, to doing 10 bars, or, you know, a bar is 1 bar represents 10. Learning how to add with a 10 bar. Some of you may not even know what I'm talking about, but that's why you need to familiarize yourself with it. This is why you need to check book bags. Don't leave it up to a first grader to come home and tell you that they have homework. Last year at school, you know, we worked with semesters. And so at the end of each semester, usually we have completed a book. We probably completed one of the reading books, one of the math books. Um, what other book could we have? We have finished maybe certain science chapters. And then what I did, I put these books into the book bags, into the backpacks of the students and of the children, for them to take home and to go over it again. Well, toward the end of the next semester, when I'm getting ready to repeat this process, I noticed that these same books are still, from the first semester, are still in the book bag, which tells me that you have not gone into that book bag. You don't know what's in it. The student is lugging 3 and 4 heavy books around every day. That's unacceptable. When you need to check daily in the book bag. Then when you see a lot of books in there, take them out and put them in a place where the student can go and grab the book, the reading book, and practice reading. We are in a serious time in America, in an uneasy time in America, where we're trying to see what's going on, how we're going to make it, what the future will hold. The big general election is coming up in November. And it's imperative that we realize the lateness of the times. I was listening to someone this morning, and they were talking about the job of a parent. And one of the interviewees said, the job of the parent is to ensure that their child can be self-sufficient and take care of themselves. We've talked about this many times here on Talking To, about getting your child ready to be an independent thinker and be an independent person, where that they don't have to remain in the pockets and the pocketbooks of their parents, of their grandparents. And the only way that a student will become self-sufficient, or that your child can be self-sufficient, they must learn the basics: reading, writing, print, as well as cursive. If you're a certain age, I would say maybe older than Justin, who was a millennial. I believe he's right at 30. So the demographic right before 30 was probably the ones who were still doing cursive in school. But if you have a child who was a millennial, impress upon your child or your grandchild to teach their children cursive writing. That's a lost art. There was a situation a couple of weeks ago where a 21-year-old was asked to sign his name. He couldn't do it. And he was trying to do a financial transaction, which required his signature. And when the representative of the bank said, "No, you're printing your name. We need you to put your signature there," he was lost. He was bewildered, confused, discombobulated. And as I'm overhearing this conversation between the banker and this young guy, I felt a certain way. I really did. Because I'm thinking in my mind, here is a young man with all of the technology and the advancements that we have in 2024, everything at your fingertips, and he can't write his name. Do you hear me? Are you hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth? He could not write his name. And the bank teller became so frustrated because, first of all, he did not recognize the vocabulary. Your signature. When you hear your signature, that means cursive. Sign your name. That's cursive. Write your name. Those are code words for cursive. He didn't understand those vocabulary words, and he was confused, and he was getting frustrated. She was getting frustrated, and she eventually had to step away from the desk, get the bank manager to approve his print. We are so much better than that. We are, as African Americans, and when you think about it, we are the smartest beings around. Now, when you go out into the streets and look around, you may question that, but we are. History has proven that. The pyramids. When the black people were living in Africa, and Socrates and all of those philosophers, before they became philosophers, went to Egypt to study under black people, to learn how to process, use their mind, they said, They see the pyramids and they were blown away. They had running water. Yes, in Egypt with the pyramids. They had an irrigation system in place that was working quite well. So when you think about that and reflect on that, you begin to realize and remember we are intelligent. There is no reason that we should not know how to read. And I'm always disturbed when I'm with the first or second graders, and their words are very simple to us. And at, the, it, can, saw, see, that, this, is, red, yellow. These are sight words. And it's so disturbing when they come at the end of the week and they don't know their sight words. And when I was talking to a student one day and I said, who's helping you at home? And he told me nobody was. 6 years old. He said, Mr. B, I do this on my own. Unfortunately, it was not right. But at least he had the wherewithal to try and learn. But you as the adult, you as the big brother, as the big sister, sit down this school year and work with that child. Work with them. Go over their addition. Go over their writing, their printing, because they're learning to print. They're learning their letters. They're developing their technique in writing. You notice, even as adults, you can see something, somebody gives you something, and another adult, and you can't read it because it's so sloppy. This is the time now that you should be working with your student, with your child. Take your time. And I know it, believe me, I know it gets frustrating. If anybody knows that, it's me, because you're constantly repeating yourself. Do that. Write that letter again. Make sure it's neat. Make sure it's in between the lines. These are these are jobs that you're going to have to take on. This is your black job. This is one of the most important black jobs you will ever have. Teaching your child. Making sure that your child understands what's going on. By state law, you cannot withhold a child until the 3rd grade. But can you imagine if you have a child that's in 3rd grade that cannot read, that their penmanship is sloppy, they can't pronounce the vowel sounds? They're in bad shape. So you mean to tell me kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, you just said whatever. These grades don't matter. These years don't matter. But they do. Joanne just made a comment. Reading, basic math, and writing should be fundamental. Yes. And it's your job as a parent, as a guardian, as someone who cares, Make sure that they learn these things. If you're cooking in the kitchen, go over spelling words. You may not even have their spelling words in front of you. Go over words that you know that they should know. Stop. This is my method. Repeat after me. Stop. S-T-O-P. Stop. This is how I one of my ways of teaching. But find a way that works well for you. Because sometimes I know you didn't do as well as you wanted to do in school for whatever reason. But now that you have a live human responsibility, it is imperative that you pour into them everything that you know that's going to help them in this educational journey. When the child is able to read and write, the behavior issues are lessened. Now, when they can't do that, this is where the behavior takes a turn, usually for the worse. Because they're embarrassed. They don't want anyone to know that they can't read, or that they don't know the answers, or that they can't add or subtract. So they begin to cause a disruption in the classroom. If it's no more than this, I had a student, and because his attendance was so poor, he came maybe on a good week twice, but generally he came once a week. And of course, from one week to the next week, so much learning has taken place. He's in a foreign space. And what he would do, he would take his pencil, and this is what he would do. Now he's going to get the attention from the teacher, me. Yeah, he is. Stop that. They stop, then they pick up something else. We can't be laxed as parents, or even as a village. We cannot be lax. We cannot idly stand and sit by and we see somebody in church not doing something right. Now when I was in church, that didn't come out right. When I was younger, as a child in church, everything had to be precise. You brought your Bible, you sat with your family, and after the certain age of drawing and coloring, you were expected to sit and at least act like you paying attention, but not cause a disturbance. If you have been living under a rock for the past 3 months and don't know about the Republican plan to do away with education, if Donald Trump gets into office, listen, can you imagine, Joanne, Justin, doing away with the educational system in the United States of America? Ms. Smith, can you really, because I don't think people are really paying attention and really processing that. They hear it, this, yo, my goodness, yeah, and then that's it. But can you imagine doing like my student? Can you imagine the administration saying we're not in the business of educating students, educating people, educating children? What are you going to do then? How is the learning going to take place? It's going to be forced upon you as a parent, as a grandparent. You're going to have to roll up your sleeves, clear the table, and get to work. So, to avoid all that, we cannot let that happen. We can't. Who instilled these educational values in you? Well, at the time that I was going to school, it was a group. It was a group. It was a group of people. Of course, it was my parents, and that's where I got the clearing the table. And I had a desk in my bedroom, but I could only go and do work on on my desk after it was reviewed by my parents. That was one group. Then I had a great first grade teacher, Mrs. Smith. I can remember some of the things that she was working on. I remember that writing. Remember the manuscript paper? I can remember that. I had Miss Gloria Henry as a teacher right there at Davidson Junior Academy. And then not only that, I had my parents' siblings. Now they wouldn't come over and help do homework, but they definitely would ask, "How are you doing in school?" in front of your parents. So I always knew that's how they operated. So I was trying to do my best. I had Alice Berenson, and then I had Don McReynolds later on as I became in high school. So these were the people that helped shape and instill these educational values in me. And even as far as going to undergrad and graduate school, I could hear certain things said. Let me tell you about Sharon Smith, Miss Smith. She was our homeroom teacher as a senior, and she didn't accept craziness, from behavior to academics, to even our social skills. We had a group that was a group in our class. Oh, who was that? That was, well, maybe I better not say their names. But anyway, they created havoc. We were teenagers, and but Miss Smith did not let that just slide away. As a parent, we got her as a parent and as our teacher. She demanded excellence. And you have to instill that into your children. Now, everyone is not going to be a scholar, but everyone doesn't have to be a F student either. Doing your best, learning your best, making yourself available for your child, for your student. Mr. Smith says it just can't happen. We cannot let it happen. And she's referring to us not going to the polls and voting for Vice President Harris. That's not what she said, but we're going to use it as a context clue. We cannot give this away. You've heard all the stories, all of the Black history stories where people could not, they didn't have electricity, and those children who could read would get by the fireplace, or that big pot belly stove, and they would sit by that around and let that flame come out so that they could read what they were doing, so that they could do their math. We have to be accountable. We cannot any longer say, turn my head this way, don't pay attention, grab a blunt, grab your cocktail, doing your phone games and your Call of Duty, and be content with that. You have to push yourself out of the way. And your focus needs to be on the education of your child or children. And not only academics, as I said earlier, the social skills. I would walk my class to the lunchroom every day. In the beginning stages of school, I would walk them into the lunchroom and then to where the food is being served. And I would stand there and I would tell them, teaching them these social skills, say thank you. In some cases, they said, what do you want? May I please have? I would hold up the lines, had 25 students on a regular day, maybe 18 would show. And each one of those children would have to say, first of all, they would say, hello. What would you like? May I have? Thank you. Have a nice day. And I did that probably for 2 or 3 weeks. I stopped. And then I would just occasionally just sneak in on them whenever they're in line to see what they're saying. And then I would say, did you say thank you? Say thank you. Teaching them these manners that will take them places sometimes where academics can't. Because, if you're a high achiever, your way is paved, but you may not be a high achiever, or as my teacher would say, marginal. But you pair that marginal with those manners. Thank you. Yes. No. Please. Have a good day. That will help boost what's lacking. We have to be vigilant about this. It is so important that we are training and rearing our youth. High expectations are the desires for our youth. Let me repeat that. You see it right there. High expectations are the desires for our youth. The way that the system is set now, there's really no excuse that's going to be accepted for not learning. because everything is here. You remember when we would be in school and we would have to go to the library. You remember being in school going to the library and you'd have to go to that the index cards to look for your book, pull that out. It'd be a very narrow drawer. You remember that, Felisa? It'd be a narrow drawer. You pull it out and you go into the cards trying to find that book that you need. That's old hat. Just go to Google. You can eat now. You have the ability to go and look up scholarly articles for your papers, all at the touch of your finger. So, because of all of these conveniences, you cannot deliver a child that does not know how to read, write, think for themselves, have the social skills needed. And what is this? This is the one word that I hear people say. I can't even, the word is irritating, but I hear people say irritating. They pronounce that ing in. In, it's ing, walking. Even with our vocabulary words, even how we enunciate and pronounce things, that talk about yeah man, or you remember Lenny from Good Times? Lenny would open up his jacket and he was selling everything. Yeah, Lenny was cool man. He talked like. There's going to be a place for all of the individuals who are not prepared. Trust me. We should want each generation to be better. Yes, Joanne. We should be the ones as parents, guardians, to direct and instill in our children the importance of education. Oh my God. I believe adults are letting our children down by not requiring better of them. Get away from me. Go into your room and go play that game. And Johnny can barely spell his name. You'd be surprised with how many first graders don't know what letters are in their name. There was one student and she had a Y in her name and she left it out. And I said, how do you pronounce this without the Y? And she said, it's there. She did not realize there was not a Y. And I'm saying all of this to say, we have a great responsibility, not only to the child, but to ourselves. Can you imagine? So, I think I'm the generation, what am I? Maybe Generation X. So we might have been the generation where we returned home, went away to school or went away, got a job, got our own apartments, did whatever we wanted to do, get married, wasn't working out as being a sufficient adult, and we had to move back home, bring in a wife or your husband and children. We want better for our young people. We want to make them sufficient, self-sufficient. Yeah, you're starting out right out of college or right out of high school. You've gone to a trade school or gone to college, or maybe you've landed a pretty good, decent job. But you want, and sometimes, and it's hard in the beginning. It's hard in the middle. But you want your child to be able to stand on their own. Well, Mama, I need a couple of hundreds. Okay. You're going to get a speech, but at least you know how to read, right? You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you're being independent. Here you go. But don't make it a habit. We've heard that several times. You are taking scholars back to basics, common courtesy, respect. Don't let your child just being just out and out rude and disrespectful. Not even to their sibling, not even to their cousin, and then definitely not to an adult. But what we like to do, what you like to do, oh, look at him. Get my phone out. I'm going to record them. And I'm going to send this to my sister. Ooh, ooh, my little baby just cussed her out. 5 and 7 years old, cussing somebody out, you recording it, and you think it's funny? You think it's funny? It's not funny. There was one little girl, and she was dancing. She was dancing in the classroom. I said, little girl, sit down. Oh, when I said sit down, that really inspired her to go strong. And so I knew she was dancing, but I really wasn't paying attention to the dance. I just saw the movement out the corner of my eye. So when I looked, because now she's been disobedient to what I said do, I just sat there for about a minute and watching all those moves she was doing. And I said to her, I said, where you learn that? My mama. Your mother taught you that? She didn't teach me, Mr. B. This is a third grader. But I was learning that because she was on her way to work. And I was just watching her. I said, oh, on her way to work. I said to myself, do I dare ask of where her employment is? What could I lose? I said, where does your mom work? She a stripper. Now, I'm not going to knock you from your hustle. If you a stripper and that's what you're doing as an adult, do it and make your money. But pour it back into those children. Now, there is no way that third grader should have been watching the mama do the things that she was doing. You ever seen P-Valley? I think that comes on the Stars Network. I said, little girl, come over here and sit next to me. And I got out some paper. I wrote her name on that paper. I said, write your name all the way down. You know, that line paper is 25 lines. I said, write it. Write it neat. Unbelievable. This is what we're doing. This is what we are allowing as a parent. Now, I know this may be kind of extreme now, but you know, during my years as a child, we would be at the church. Our teachers, who was my Sabbath school teachers then? Sister Eleanor Williams in the primary department. I can't remember who was in the lower grades. Miss Strawbridge was in the preteen. But anyway, Miss Sister Williams, Eleanor Williams, we'd have our Bible verses. We'd have to go home and learn those for the 13th Sabbath. Joanne, you know what I'm talking about? Miss Smith, Alice Behrens, the 13th Sabbath. We didn't have no time to be trying to learn the robot. I think that was out then. The robot. Remember that? You know, we definitely wasn't watching Soul Train. You know, that came on the Sabbath. But I'm saying all that to say our learning, it was structured from church, I mean from school to home to church. Academics in school, learning how to take on responsibilities at home, as they were called chores. I was cutting the grass probably as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and everyone had an electric lawnmower except us. And I had, well, not my parents had, the push, you know, with the blade, and you push it and it turns around. And I asked my dad, I said, can we get a new lawnmower? He was like, no, nothing is wrong with that. This is going to teach you hard work. And it did. That's why to this day I don't cut grass. but those were learning opportunities, learning social skills, learning responsibility, learning teaching, so that when you get in a house or you'll know what to do. Cut your grass. These are social skills. Cut that grass. Don't let it grow up. Now, don't come by my house today, only because the landscaper hasn't come. Cut the bushes. Edge. I was turning dirt over like the man from Green Acres. But these were all mechanisms to teach. Now, granted, everything that was taught, I didn't do. And I think that's all of us. That's you, me, and the man down the street. However, it was taught. And that's what I'm telling you as a parent, as a grandparent. I know when you listen, I can only imagine after you've reared your children and now you have to do a whole nother set. You just may not be up for the task. You just might not be. You know, it's not easy. You working. You got to get yourself up. You have to cook breakfast. You got to give the kids a hot meal, or the best meal that you can, because what they serve in school, it meets the requirements of the state in terms of nutritional value. But nothing beats a home cooked meal. It's conducive for learning. Now, you may not have the means to make grits and bacon or veggie links or biscuits and sausage or every morning. You just might not have it like that. The best you might could do is some cereal and toast, maybe a boiled egg. But this is something that is needed. It is needed to put them on the right road for that day, to learn. Sometimes the kids would come into school, and I would just look and notice that they're kind of withdrawn. And I'd bring them to my desk. I'm like, did you eat breakfast? No. Because the parents were so lazy, they have missed breakfast being served at school. I'd write out a note, give them a pass, go down to the cafeteria, ask them to give you something, or send them to another teacher who has some things, some food left over from breakfast, so that the child can get something in their stomach so that they can learn. And another thing, provide something for your child. Just don't be living your life haphazardly and not looking out for the future of your child, saving at least some money up for college, if it's no more than buying the books. We should invest in our child, not only academically, not only spiritually, not only socially, but financially. So when you get old or your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth and your eyes are stuck, your child or your children have a chance, got a little little pocket change that you've saved, put in the bank or IRA or CD or Planet Marketing or whatever it is that you've done, so that they can have a little cushion. So they can have a little cushion. You know, Christian education is important. Christian education allows you to be able to be in a certain environment that is conducive for learning. Not a lot of riff-raff conversation, not a lot of strife. Peterson Ward Academy, right there on the 4,000, is it 4,000 Sylvia Street? That's my alma mater. Graduated 12th grade there. Think about that. Maybe you want to put, I've said something that has sparked something in your head, especially with that Christian education. Yes, it's not free, but you're investing in your child. And if you don't have the funds to do that, it's all right. Don't worry about it. It's all right. Make sure that your child gets to school on time. The school sits here. So we're going to say the school sits on Woodward Avenue. If you know where Woodward and 7 Mile is, this is the area. I had a student, the school sat on the main street. The student lived one block over, and you could see the house from the school. His dad, the mom worked afternoons. She was married to a bum, breath and britches, a bum. His only job was to get their son to school. He wouldn't even walk around the corner to take him. So the wife says, how do I know this? You say, how do you know this, Rufus? Well, you know, I am a journalist by trade, but I know this because the mother was telling me. She said, well, he didn't want to walk in the winter, talking about the dad. So she bought him a new Dodge Ram truck so he could bring their son to school. He still wouldn't bring him. And at the end of the school year, she says, well, Mr. B, I'm going to take him to another school and enroll him because he hasn't learned anything in first grade. And I don't want him to be ridiculed in this school by his fellow classmates who have been promoted to another grade. Won't even bring the kid to school. So I'm saying all that to say, you have a responsibility. I have a responsibility. Education for your child. Reading, writing, arithmetic, critical thinking. They need to learn that now for their success. Giving our young people the opportunity and resources to advance is our responsibility. You doggone snappy, Miss Smith. I can only, well, I can't only use me, but well, I'm using me as the example. My parents went and sacrificed and got the World Book encyclopedias with the dictionary to assist me in my learning. Got me the tutors that I needed to advance what I already knew. Over there with Alice, had a library of books to get your mind going, stimulate it. Yeah, to stimulate your mind. We weren't over there, Antoine and I were just not doing nothing. We were doing our work. I don't even think we thought we had an option. Education is key, both formal and informal. Education is key, both formal and informal. Do better. School for most people are starting the day after Labor Day. Plan now. You see sometimes on television shows where the parents have a cork board on the wall or on the refrigerator, and they have all the schedules. Schedule that time. Schedule. When your alarm goes off at 6 a.m., don't snooze it. Get up. Get yourself ready. Get your child up. Get your children up. Talk with them. Feed into them. You're great. You're going to have a great day at school today. You're going to learn today. It's going to be a whole new learning experience. Not, come on, you make me sick. You like just like your mama. You like your daddy. If you're a single parent, God bless you. I know it's challenging. I know it's challenging, but this may not have been what you wanted, but this is what you got. What's that on Facebook? You say, this is what I ordered and this is what I got. You may not have wanted to have a child when you had a child. Whatever the circumstance is, the child is here and is growing. You want your child to represent your family well, your namesake. There were many things that I did not do, and there were many things that I did. But I did not want to embarrass. Maybe once or twice I did. But that was not the norm. That was not the norm. Listen, please, if you're not registered to vote, it might be too late. I don't know. Call the elections city of elections down there. See if it's too late. If it is too late, shame on you. But if you are a registered voter, go vote. Make it your plan to vote. In fact, voting when the polls open and the early voting starts, be a part of that. Don't wait till the election day. Anything can happen then. Vote. Now, they don't really like journalists or news people to tell you who to vote for. But I can, because this is not governed by FCC. You know who you should vote for. Vice President Harris. Don't be telling me she ain't did nothing for the black people. What have you done for the black people? Don't get on the bandwagon about what she's not. Because first of all, she is. Number one, she's an attorney. She is an attorney. That separates her from most. Then she's been into politics, prosecuting attorney. She knows how to think. She knows how to strategize. She can look at you, Mr. Trump, and tell that you're lying. The only thing that we can change is ourselves. We can't change anything outside of us. But by voting, you're making a change for you, for your child, for your children, for the future. The Bible says we have to occupy until he returns. That doesn't mean playing Pac-Man all day. That doesn't mean all day on social media. That don't mean get high all day. Drinking all day. Shrinking your responsibilities. This year, let's do different. This school year, let's do different. This election, let's do different. I have enjoyed you so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of Joanne and Justin, we appreciate you spending your time with us every Sunday, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I went over a little bit today, but it's all good. This was quality content. Everyone that participated today, thank you so very much. And if you're going to watch later, thank you for that. I'm thinking the time is 8:11. Dr. Eloquent Weaver and the Biblical People, they should be tearing up that Canton auditorium. Now, you know that's a shouting group. They believe in dancing and shouting. Now, don't tear it up over there, LaQuint. Don't tear it up. Listen, once again, thank you so much for your time and for you investing into Talking To. Have a wonderful, 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 wonderful week. We look forward to being with you next Sunday, 7 o'clock p.m. on Talking To with Joanne, Justin, and Ruth. Have a great one.